Hi, my name is Jen. Welcome to my channel, All My Plants. Today's video is Hoya Tour Part 2. So we already did that shelf, which I think I showed that in the video anyway. It's mostly on this shelf, and then I have a few others that I'll grab from around the house. But yeah, we're gonna get right into it. I've shuffled things around quite a bit, but I'm pretty sure we already talked about every single one of these that's over here. Pretty sure. Still haven't fixed the light there yet, but I'll get there. So I think the ones we're going to talk about today are the ones on this shelf here. Ignore the poor empty terrarium thing back there, fish tank, whatever. But yeah, these are the ones we're going to talk about today, and I think there may be a few odds and ends here and there in other places. But yeah, we're going to start with the hanging ones that are all over this shelf. This is the Hoya linearis that I made the cuttings that I showed in the last video from. So, I mean, it's not a huge basket, but, you know, we're working on it. We're working on it. Slowly but surely. Like, it is such a pretty little plant. This one might be a little thirsty, but it's lovely. Lovely. Even with a few little pieces dying off here and there. I don't know if you can tell because of the color, but overall, not bad. We're working on a nice full trailing pot. It's not the longest yet, but we'll get there. So that's that one. Love it. Soft, fuzzy, cute. Let me set it aside so we can see. And then this guy right here, this is Hoya Carnosa Crimson Princess. This one is thirsty, so thirsty. It's very, you can see it's kind of very pliant right now. It sits normally downstairs in front of a pellet stove, like 5 feet in front of it and about 4 feet above it, so it gets very hot, very dry. I find myself watering it quite often. So this is one of them. I showed you in the last video one that had reverted. Look how pretty that is, even with the dust. One that had reverted, but there's also a larger one. I'll insert a picture over here. But that is my larger one that I repotted. I think it's probably about 5 feet long. I'm not sure. And that one does flower. This one doesn't even have a peduncle on it. Speaking of peduncle, let me show you something from the last video, like a callback that I didn't notice then. My Hoya Sunrise has a little peduncle. Isn't that cute? It's the only one I think I've seen yet. Hasn't done anything, but it is forming little buds on there. I don't know if you can see it, but it is. Cool, cool. So back to this guy. It's a good plant, easy plant, doesn't want much from me. While this one in particular is growing well, like I said, it's never flowered, and I'm pretty sure it doesn't have any peduncles or anything on it. Let's see if I can pull it out of there. Look at that. That's so pretty, though. Like I said, even with the dust. It's just an easy plant. I like the way new growth comes in very pink. It's fading down now, but it comes in like hot pink. It does the same thing on my Crimson Queen, which we'll see in a moment, but it's a nice plant. And I guess while we're talking about Carnosa, here is my compacta. This one is variegated-ish. You see some white leaves. This has not grown at all since I repotted it, which was this summer. You see this one here is not taking. I don't know if you can tell. It's wrinkling right up. We're not focusing on what I want it to. There we go. Yeah, so that one's not doing great. This one had some mealy bugs on it when I first got it. It's two separate ones that I got from two different places. But I just put them all together. I know this seems like a huge pot, but 2 or 3 pieces of this had a great root system. And they're fine in there, but they're not really growing. So I assume maybe the growth is happening where we can't see it. Which, fine, as long as it's doing something. Slow. They're so slow. Compacta in general are slow for me. Beautiful, but slow. So slow. Okay, so there's that one. And then this guy here, I've just moved it so it's not so washed out. This is my regular compacta, which I let get way too dry. Can you see the wrinkling there? This has also been a slow grower for me. But it finally did take off. All of this is grown from a piece about this long that I've had this, let me see, I'm gonna say 5-6 years. I got it around the same time as I got my Hoya Crimson Princess, so I've had it for a while. But it's, you know, it's a shower, not a grower, I guess. I don't know. It does have a peduncle somewhere that has never done anything. It is a little nubbin right there, about center of the screen. I don't know if we're focusing. But yeah, it's never done anything. I mean, it's still there, so cool, I guess. This thing is so dry, so dry. I need to water it and hope that I haven't killed it, because that would be terrible after all the time I invested in growing it. Yeah, but that's it. That's that guy. Okay, I guess we'll start with this one. These are the propagations from the Hoya Bella, or Lanceolata Bella. And you can see some of them have struggled too with bare stems, spider mites. It's a thing. But overall, I think it looks like it's doing pretty good. And it's ready to go in with its mama plant. So, like, there we go. It's pretty though. I mean, I like it. I just wish that spider mites didn't like it as much as I do. It's a constant thing. If I water it, I might as well just go ahead and treat it for spider mites. And I do. And then this here, this is Hoya. I think it was sold to me as Memoria, but I think it's grassless now. I got that the right direction. Let's put it down here so we can actually see it. He's quite dirty, but it's also kind of splashy. There you go, you can kind of see it if I twist it so that you can't see the shine, but you can see the splashiness. It's a very pretty plant. I like it. There's a piece, I brought this in, this was on a trellis, and I decided I didn't want it on the trellis anymore, and so I repotted it, took the trellis out, repotted it, and I set it to the side, and I think my husband came in and knocked it in the floor upside down on its head. So this piece is dying, or dead. We'll just go ahead and say that's dead. But the rest of it's looking okay. So no new growth since I repotted it. We did traumatize the heck out of it. I did make a propagation because you can see it kind of all went everywhere else after I repotted it, after its head dropped. Like it's still not in the pot great. I don't know how to fix it without traumatizing it more. But anyway, once it kind of recovers a little bit, I'll go ahead and put its offspring with it. So this one has never given me peduncles. I've had it for a few years. Never given me any peduncles or anything, or if it has, I haven't noticed. No. No? No. But it grew great out in the greenhouse over the summer, which is the most it's grown in a little while now. I think I just make this plant mad overall. You can see this is died back, this growing point here. But yeah, I do like this plant though. I just wish I could make it happier. Happier-ish. I don't know, it's not that angry, it's just kind of dirty and it's been through something this fall already. We'll set him over here for the moment. I'm trying to think of this Hoya's name because I can't remember. Does it have a tag? Cressa? Nope. Breviolata. Hoya breviolata, which it's an interesting little Hoya. Slightly splashy here and there, just slightly. There's just a smattering of splash. Some of it is damage, that in there. But overall, this has been a good plant, very good grower. It took its time getting going, I think, if I recall. I've had this under a year, and I don't know, it was like a 6-leaf little like starter plant, and yeah, it's doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. Get it out here a little bit. See it in some slightly normal light. It's a very different green than a lot of my Hoyas. It's pretty though. Humble opinion. Humble opinion. It's so cute. Okay, anyway. Oh, no peduncles on this one. I don't know if this one ever had any. No, this one has not had any since I've had it. Not yet. You know, we'll just wait longer. And then this is the Hoya Obavada that I made my cuttings from that you saw in the last video, or it's a plant now. It's lightly splashy, just lightly. Nevertheless, very pretty. And this is covered in peduncles. Like, there's one back there. Oh, look, a little baby leaf right there. That is a peduncle there. And then there's two kind of in this area right here. There's one there and one up there. There's one here. That's an aerial root or adventitious root, whatever they're called on Hoyas. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it's covered in peduncles, none of which have ever set buds or flowered. But I still love this plant. I think it's gorgeous. It's lovely. It's sturdy. I can underwater it, overwater it. Another peduncle. There. I would like to see it flower eventually. Like, I'm not in any hurry, but I mean, you know, I think it would be very rewarding if it would actually just do a flower. So, let's get him out of the way. Gently. So pretty. I love this plant. I say that about every plant, don't I? Then this is the one I said was a mystery Hoya that I thought might be some type of Carnosa. I don't know, but it is lovely. This is the one I said is struggling a little bit because it never really firms up very much. Actually, it is now. I don't know. I suspect that I had root rotted it, and I didn't try to rescue it from itself. I just kind of left it right in there and watered it again because I figured it would re-root. It wasn't like severe, but it was enough that it wasn't firm. It seems to have righted itself. So weird. Look at the little spider back there on the wall. Yeah. Anyway, so this one, it has new growth everywhere now that I'm seeing, now that I'm really checking it out. That's cool. Some there. And making its way up the wall a little bit. But, yeah, so I don't actually know what kind of Hoya it is still. But like I said, smooth top and bottom. No fuzziness, no furriness, no texture to speak of. But it's lovely. And like, I don't know, it does have the slightest bit of veining. I don't know if you can see it. But very pretty. Very pretty. Still no peduncles, so that's not, you know, not helping. Not helping me figure out what it is. But it's pretty. And I like it, and we'll just keep growing it. Then this guy here is the Hoya Pentaflebia? That sounds right. Hoya, oh look. Hoya Pentaflebia. Okay, I wasn't sure. I like this one too. It's got some sort of very subtle veining on it. I don't know if you can see it. A little bit of splashing here and there. Some lovely little markings. I just think it's very pretty. It might be getting a little bit bleached at the top here from these lights, but and until it really complains, we're just going to keep going and let it ride, you know. But it's doing pretty good. I'm looking for new growth on it, and I really don't. Oh yeah, I do. I see teeny bits here and there. But yeah, it's done really well. This is another one I think I got maybe the end of last year or early this year. And it might have been 3 leaves. I don't know. But it just kind of took right off. It's done pretty good consistently. I haven't had any trouble with this plant. I think I have burnt it or maybe given it some edema a time or two. Now this is one, in the last video I showed you some cuttings of this plant and I said I thought it had scale. It's actually like some sort of damage on the underside of the leaf because I tried picking it off and really I was just ripping the leaf apart. There wasn't anything to pick off per se, so I don't know. We've just left it alone. Or, well, since I've left it alone, I'll put it that way, because I definitely did pick on it a little bit. Okay, but then the next one is this guy right here. Kind of growing up into the light again. This one is one I can't ever remember the name of. Come to the front, please. Sir. Okay, this one is Hoya Cortesi. We're gonna get all up in here. It had like leaves this size maybe when I got it, so that's kind of what I thought the leaves were always gonna look like, was that size. But no, I mean it's put out like longer, thin long leaves. So like I wasn't familiar with this plant when I bought it, not extremely anyway. I'd heard of it, but I don't see many Hoyas. I don't know if they're just not popular where I live or what. It's not a plant I see around a lot. So, or not any Hoyas really, not just this Hoya, but most Hoyas. But it does good. It's grown really well. This is another one that I actually got this year. I don't know, maybe had half a dozen leaves on it. I'm not sure it's enjoying being so close to the light. Like, that's sun stretched to the point where it doesn't look the happiest. Oops, helps if I show the actual plant. I don't know, it doesn't seem to be doing any damage, but I'm not 100% certain that I love the way that looks. They're so dusty, sorry. A lot of these, I just threw them up here. I didn't really clean them off yet. But I do think it's a lovely plant. Hoya Cortesi. I think this one did put out a ton of peduncles and none of them did anything. Nope, this one didn't either. No peduncles on this one yet. It's the next one I'm about to show you that actually had the peduncles. Yeah, but this one has not. But I do see some new growth in there. Here and there. Those don't look great. They're kind of yellow. This one here looks maybe yellow as well. Is it gonna fall off? Tap test. Oh no, it's on there. Okay. Okay, and then we're gonna talk about this one over here. This one is Nummularioides. Does that sound right? Let's see. Yep. It's dry too. This one here, at first it took off and it grew. I was like, yes, this is going to be the best grower of all these Hoyas I just bought. And it also had peduncles on it, like really quickly. There's none now. They all just kind of jumped off of there. It's got some new growth down in there though. Can you see it right there? Maybe. But yeah, and it's like starting to try to branch right here next to this hair. It's starting to try to branch up here. Pardon the hair or fiber, whatever that is. Yeah. It slowed right down. It slowed right down. So I did cut and propagate that somewhere. Oh yeah, you'll see it. But yeah, I don't know. It just didn't keep going the way I thought it would. So I don't know, but I do like it. Fuzzy top and bottom, like lamb's ear fuzzy. That's a thick leaf. Oof. Okay, camera overheated if you can imagine that. I was saying this plant, it's weird because some of the leaves are very thick on it, this Hoya, and then others are like super thin. Like, if I could focus on the plant, that would be great, I'm sorry. Like, I don't know, that one's kind of thick too. Some of these down here, like that's thin. Try not to rip the leaf off, but show you the thinness of it. And then like, oop, that one there is super chunky. I don't know, but anyway, it's dusty as usual. A lot of the ones that came from downstairs are very dusty still because they haven't been showered yet. But I do like this plant. It's very fuzzy, top and bottom, very soft. Kind of like puppy ear or lamb's ear soft. I don't know, it's a great one. I like it. It's kind of slow grower though. And then this here is one of the crimson, Hoya Carnosa Crimson Queens. Which has been maintaining these white leaves for far too long. You can kind of see them back there hiding behind this poor retusa. It's dropping leaves like crazy. There we go, you can kind of see some. They're just now starting to brown. They've been there like pushing a year. Pure white, crazy. But I like this plant. Lightly fuzzy along the back, or maybe that's just texture, I'm not sure. Nah, that's a little bit of fuzz. And very smooth across the front. A little bit splashy here and there. It's very pretty. Very pretty. Very good grower. Once again, new growth on this one, which this one doesn't seem to have any. New growth comes in like a hot pink and slowly fades to the white. I'll have to show you on my other one. I'll put in a picture of it over here on top of the dying Hoya retusa that we're getting ready to talk about. But yeah, that one's doing fine. That one's in a hanging basket. This one here is trellised. You can kind of see it peeking out there. Both of them are doing good. Both good growers and generally easy care. This guy, I kind of forgot it existed for a while. So this thing is doing so bad, I'm just going to chop it and propagate the whole thing, whatever I can salvage from it that way, because it's looking pretty rough, Like these are just, well, I was going to say they're just falling off. It's an interesting leaf shape though. It's not my favorite Hoya, but I mean, it's kind of cool. This one has flowered, and I believe it's just like a single little peduncle that sticks out. I cannot remember. Oh, it flowered, but I didn't get to see any flowers on it alive because when I came out to the greenhouse, they were already dead. That was last year. This year, obviously, it hasn't done anything but attempt to die. I just forgot it existed. And then when I watered it, that didn't help. So that's a rescue mission. And then up here, this is the propagation that I was talking about from the Hoya Kerrii. That one up there, outer variegated, and it's doing fine. These two leaves are new. It's not loving being so deep in this cup because it's having a hard time growing. That's why the leaves are misshapen, because I had to kind of like push them up out of there because they kept sticking on the side. So it's time to repot this somewhere. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. I might just put the whole thing in a hanging basket and hope for the best. I don't know. I can't do too many more hanging plants. I think I have like, I don't know, dozens and dozens. So maybe I'll just put it in a nice heavy pot and set it on a ledge and let it like flop over. Maybe that's the way to go. But yeah, it's doing good. It rooted quite easily. You can see some in there. This is fluval stratum, by the way, that it's in with a little bit of perlite mixed in. You can kind of see it down there maybe. But yeah, so I mean, it does fine, propagates easily. This is one, let me pull it down here where you can actually see what I'm talking about. This was sold to me as variegated Indonesian Hoya, and I was like, oh, okay, so it's a little splashy. It's not really variegated either though. It's like, it grows in with variegation, but it fades to this. It does fade to this green. So now I know. It's weird. It's very weird. I was like, okay. So I changed the conditions thinking that maybe I was just burning the crap out of it. And still, maybe I was. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's a lovely Hoya. It's a Lacunosa of some sort. Like, those are some big Lacunosa leaves. I'm used to them being much smaller or elongated even. I don't know. It's lovely. Did this one flower? No. I don't see any peduncles on this one. But it's lovely. Like, they're very pretty. A little splashy, lightly splashy, nothing crazy. But yeah, I mean, it's a good plant. I killed, this is actually Propagations, and the mother plant, I killed it quite recently. It was in a little bitty pot, and when I went away it dried out, and I watered it, and the roots rotted, and I didn't feel like saving it because I had this one. I mean, that's the truth of it. It's very lazy, but it's the truth of it, so. I think that's all the ones up there. I guess we'll talk about these ones down here. This is the Hoya Australis green, just the plain green one, not the Lisa. And I've struggled with Hoya Australis Lisa for sure, and then this one here too. It has new growth currently. This plant has been a series of dying back, and then new growth, and then kind of dying back, and then new growth. See where it's trellised itself? I didn't even ask it to. And then I watered it and put it in the bathroom, and somebody broke it. There we go. And it's a shame because it had new growth at a couple places along this vine that were really trying to happen. There's a couple leaves, but it is what it is. It'll grow from somewhere else, I guess. But yeah, and it's always kind of thin, and I think that's part of my problem is I overwater this plant a lot. Either that or I'm underwatering it a lot. I don't know. Like, these are thicker down here, so that makes me think they should be very rigid. Whereas these are not. Maybe they're just newer. I don't know. I like it. It's a good plant. Still would not replace it if it died. And then this one here is another one of the Hoya Calyx. This is a nice splashy one. Very pretty. I think my daughter got me this for Mother's Day from somewhere in North Carolina, near Charlotte, or in Charlotte, I think. I believe I hauled it. But I like this one. It's very pretty. It's a different kind of splashiness than my other ones. Like there's some pieces in here that look very much like my, oh my gosh, look at the dust. Look like my other ones. Did I mention this hangs in front of a pellet stove most of the time? But it's a very pretty Calyx. It's very pretty. It needs so much dusting. But yeah, it's been a good plant. It hasn't really grown much. It's still in the very dense soil it came in. I kind of top dressed it a little bit. Mostly because I wanted to get some systemics in there because mealybugs are a thing. But yeah, it's doing fine, just not growing like my other one does. So I don't know if I've gotten even a dozen new leaves on this, and I got it in like May. So I don't know. Honorable mention, just because it has a flower spike and desperately needs to be repotted. It's just a Phalaenopsis orchid, a big one. It's an old one. It flowers pretty regularly. Anyway, we're not talking about orchids today. This is the green Kerrii. This is the mother plant to the cuttings I showed in the last video. And it is starting to try to run away, and that's why I cut it in the first place. Somewhere there, right there is where I cut it before. And we're going up behind the Imperialis and over here to hang out with the dirty humidifier. But it's, I mean, you know, it's doing fine. It's underwatered a bit, believe it or not. I kind of let it sit for like a month and a half, 2 months, and I just forgot about it. My bad. It's gonna be fine. I've actually had this plant grab my wall before. Like I actually had to physically pull it off the wall. Not this particular one, but before I cut it, the other one. And it's these little roots, or rootlets, whatever you'd want to call those, adventitious roots, aerial roots. They will grab your furniture. They will grab your wall. I did not know Hoyas would do that so enthusiastically. At least this one. I don't think I've ever had any other Hoya do it, except for this one. Not twine around anything, just go ahead and just grab it, grow on it, attach. It didn't actually damage the wall because it wasn't growing into the wall, it was just hanging on for dear life. But yeah, so once again, dirty little plant. You can see it's kind of, I don't know, the color is weird and the texture is weird. It's just from being underwatered so severely. I did water it yesterday, but it's not really plumped back up fully yet. And then its neighbor here is the Hoya Imperialis, red flower, which I showed you some cuttings of. And I mentioned my favorite thing is this like ruffling of the leaf edge. I love that about this plant. This is also dusty. This just came up from downstairs. And it is a dark, kind of darker green leaved Hoya. Thin as well. Hydrated or not, as thin. If it's not, you'll know because it will start dropping leaves from the bottom when it's dry. These are thicker down here. These older leaves are thicker for sure. This one doesn't really have any older leaves. This is a new offshoot here since I propagated it. But yeah, I really need to clean my leaves. I'll probably do that later. I'll sit down and I'll turn on some Aeroid District and buff up these leaves, maybe watch some Quirky Lemon, some Plant Spots and whatnots. You know, do my Hoya chores. But anyway, so that's the Hoya Imperialis Red. It's a good one. I like it. Love to see it flower. It's just kind of, I don't know how to trellis this one because these are, this one here is still kind of soft and bendy, but they become kind of woody pretty quick. I don't know how to describe it. Like if you're familiar with this plant, you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, it's a good Hoya. I like it. Would love to see it flower someday. I'm gonna sit right down here on the floor and try to get this stuff out of my way so I can show you those ones back there in those little bins. I think they're propagations. Yeah. Are they? Maybe. Oh, I'm missing a couple too. Where'd I put them? I can lose those plants. I can lose plants like no other. Alright, these guys here in my lap. Alright, we've got a Chelsea propagation. This is a propagation from the Gracilis and Memoria. There's actually two of them. But this one has pretty new growth right now. Like the color of it. It's so pretty. And then this here is the breviolata, no, Nummularioides, Propagations, or I guess it's just one, but it's cute. It's so cute, right? Cute little fuzzy baby. And then this one here is the breviolata, which I did burn. That is definitely burn. It wasn't quite touching the light, but it was like hanging down right over top of it, like the one underneath. Does that make sense? But it was hanging there, and I guess the heat rather than the light got it. But look at that little new leaf there. Look at that little new leaf. So cute. So there's for your extreme plant close-up. They're all doing pretty good. They're all kind of growing and, you know, doing plant stuff. Alright, I'm gonna move them. And then these two here, I really love these two. This is probably my favorite plant right now. This is Hoya Irina. It has like some sort of numbers too. I'll try to remember those or look those up and put those on screen with the name. But like it came with that leaf and that leaf. This is new. I didn't know it could look like that. That is gorgeous. It's splashy and veiny and oh, chef's kiss. I think this is like I can't remember. I'll put that on screen too, I guess. A cross between Hoya finlaysonii and is it Meredithii? Not sure. I'll put it on the screen though. And it is so nice. So nice. It doesn't really feel fuzzy at all to me. Maybe underneath slightly, but man, that is beautiful. I could fawn over this leaf all day. I love it. And of course we have new ones, little baby new ones. There we go, we're focusing. We're on the ball. Those there, I forgot to water it. This was like wilted so bad I thought it was gonna fall off. It had another one on the side there. It did fall off. Like, so it's not in the cabinet anymore because it's getting too hot and too dry. The humidity is hard to maintain even in there, especially because of the, you know, the heat is on in my house. It's a pellet stove, so it's just a lot of hot, a lot of sucking the moisture out of the air. But anyway, I love this plant. It took a while to get going, but now that it is, oof, so pretty. Okay, and then the next one is this Lacunosa. I keep saying that I have a splashy one, but it seems like anytime, or really silvery one, anytime I try to show it, it won't focus. But this is it. This is like cuttings from it anyway. I'll show you the other plant, the plant I cut it from. It's very pretty. Like, look at the new growth down in there. It's like a dark red with like pink splashing. It's so pretty. I love this plant. This is Propagations from that plant anyway. If I can get it out of here. Look at that one. That one's kind of minty down in there. Anyway, there we go. You can kind of get an overview of the plant. It's so pretty. I propagated it in stratum. Do I see roots? We're looking through 2 cups here. I see some here and there poking out. I don't know if you can see them through the sludge. Yep. This has been ready to be potted up for a while now. It's rooted and it has active growth, and that's usually at what point I would repot a Hoya or pot it back in, whatever my plan was. I think my plan was just to isolate more of the splashiness, and I'd say mission accomplished. I'll put this in my lap for a minute because, oh my goodness, like that little leaf, even though it's damaged, it's so like minty looking. It's an odd contrast to the other ones, isn't it? Like, they're so pretty. They are so pretty. But yeah, I hope it continues to grow in this sort of splashier way. So far it looks to be. Maybe you can see that little teeny leaf. So I'm pretty happy with it. I think it's a success. But yeah. Some of the leaves got damaged. Some of them are more sun stressed than I had intended. than I had intended. Like you can see there's some damage on that leaf there. But anyway, I like this plant. I should really pot it up at some point, huh? So pretty though. So yeah, that's one of my mystery Hoya Lacunosas. That's all I can tell you about it is Lacunosa. Or at least that's what it was sold to me as. So it's a pretty one. Alright, so there's those dudes. I'm going to put them back in their little spot over here. This guy here is my Hoya Pachyclada, which has suffered a bit of late. Sorry, I'm trying not to rub this microphone. Let me turn this fan off. I had it on because I keep overheating me and the camera. It should be much more this color. But it's had a rough time. I've underwatered it, and once again I suspect that I rotted some of the roots because we have some dieback in here, like seriously. Some stuff has died. Like whole pieces I've pulled out because they were just dead. But I do have a couple little propagations, which I showed in the last video, that I'm just going to tuck right back in the spot there. But overall, happy with this plant. I say Pachyclada, it might be Pachyclada. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but I'm probably going to keep saying Pachyclada. Creature of habit, you know? Like, yeah, that's a very unhappy leaf. It's quite yellow. But I mean, it happens, especially when you're taking things inside, outside, moving them from room to room, and I don't know, it just doesn't get a chance to just catch up. But I still love this plant. It's so heavy right now. I just watered it again. But I love it, and I think it's beautiful. It needs a good clean, for sure. But it's overall, it's a good plant. It's a good grower. It's tough, even though it's not the most happy thing right now. I've also seen it angrier and then, you know, still bounce back. So I don't know. It was a really fast grower. I think I've had this from a maybe, I don't know, 3-leaf cutting. I couldn't say for sure. I can't remember if I hauled it on the channel. I don't think I did. I think I got it right before I started this channel, which is about a year. Yeah, I'm going to say that's about right. And I grew up from like 4 leaves or less in a year. So I'd say we've done okay. It's never given me a peduncle. It's never given me a flower. But, you know, I'll just hurry up and wait longer because it's pretty and I love it. Okay, and then over here at the moment I've got Hoya Cortesi, which I can't remember if I showed that. I don't think I did. If I did, sorry if I'm showing it again. And then that is the Hoya that I made all the little splashy silvery cuttings from. And I'm gonna pull it out. Maybe. Okay, so you can kind of see some splashing on this one, but I really did try to isolate some of the more splashy pieces from it, just because I wanted it even more splashy. Like you can see some there. But it's lovely. It's a beautiful plant. Like I said, some sort of Lacunosa. Couldn't be any more specific than that. It has new growth on it. Which, can we see them? Yeah, there we go. It's doing good. I don't think this one has ever flowered. I'm looking. I don't see any peduncles on there. The other one that's kind of like this did flower all the time, but all of a sudden I've killed all the peduncles. So, I don't know. And then this guy here is Hoya Cortesi. Which I just got this one, I think in the spring, maybe. I do like the little splashiness of those little leaves. I think it's cute. I don't know, I can't tell if they're fuzzy. I've heard that they are, but I feel like it just feels like texture to me and not necessarily fuzziness. I don't know. Let me put it down and I'll feel it again. I want to say that this one has grown a little bit. Yeah, it actually might be a little bit fuzzy. I want to say it's grown a little bit. I don't think it was really trailing at all when I got it. And it is a little bit now, right? A little bit. I think it was just like a nice full head. Yeah?
I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. We got a coon in the back step now.
Shit. So I got it as a nice full pot. Sorry, there's a raccoon in my backyard. I got it as a nice full pot. I think these look nice sun stressed, but I have not been able to give it enough light or sun either to sun stress it, but it's pretty nevertheless. It's a good plant. I had another one of these, well I still have it, but it's not growing. Or I guess it is, just at a snail's pace. It's not dying, but it's not doing much of anything. Neither one with peduncles or flowers yet, but you know, it's okay. I like it. It's pretty. Okay, and then the last two was this Hoya Carnosa Crimson Queen. It's a hanging pot. It's about, I don't know, I step on it even when I hold it up above my head, and it's just because it has this long tendril here. But it's very pretty. Very pretty. Very nice plant. And what I was talking about with the new growth, right there you can see one. It has like a hot pink margin. These ones are kind of fading now, the pink. And then there's one of the white ones when they come in, also quite pink. So it's pretty. It's a very pretty, very nice plant. Still has new growth everywhere. It gets very high light. It usually hangs actually in my handy dandy laundry room workspace. Kind of, I'm gonna say less than a foot beneath the grow light, so it does pretty good. And then the other one, I've just plopped it in the floor here to hang out with the orchid. Maybe they'll encourage each other to flower. Is the Hoya Kentiana or Wayeti, just the plain green one. And this one has done well. It's probably the best I've had one do. It wasn't trailing too much when I got it, and it's trailing pretty well now. So yeah, I'm happy with it. Still nice and full on top. It also hangs down in the handy dandy laundry room / workspace. And it seems happy there, so I'm gonna put those back, and yeah. So that was, I think, the rest of the Hoyas. I'm sure I forgot some somewhere, maybe. Oh, I did. I just realized I did. The Hoya Serpens I got it as a 2-leaf cutting, hauled it on this channel. Hasn't grown at all. It doesn't even look like it's rooted, but it still seems alive, maybe? And then the other one was the variegated Hoya Lacunosa. It was 2 cuttings that I put in the same thing as the Serpens. Also looks like it might still be alive. Doesn't seem to have grown any. I'll actually go get them and show them to you, but yeah, I know that's 2 that I forgot, but I can't think of any others. I actually thought I had gotten these, they just sit in a tray, in August, but I got them in October. I mean, I thought I got them in October, but I got them like August 3rd. Maybe that's when I ordered them, but I got them fairly soon after that. And I don't see any roots or new growth. I think they came from the same seller. Oh, I do see a little bitty root in this one. A couple now that I'm looking. That's the Hoya Lacunosa variegated. It's 2 cuttings or 2 nodes. I don't know. It's on the to-do list to rip them out of there and see what's going on, because it's been months at this point. And then this is the other one, the Serpens. It's very dark in there, isn't it? But yeah, so I don't know. Those are the only ones I can think of that I forgot. But yeah, so that's the Hoyas. I think that's all of them, or pretty close-ish, maybe. So I guess Christmas is coming, and I'm getting ready to get into the holiday spirit. I'm going to wear my silly little hat. I'm going to wear my Santa shirts, all that stuff, and I'm going to make a ridiculous amount of videos. At least in my mind, that's how it's going. Thank you for hanging out with me, and come back and check me out again soon. Bye.